is Tanya with the Rhema Talk with Tanya. We are at topic 26 now. Um, the title is Transferring of Spirits. I am recording from my bathroom because my house is so noisy with the little ones. This is the only place that I can record that they can't get to me. So I'm gonna go over with you a little bit of what you need to know about transferring of spirits, especially for those of us who are in ministry, and we are actually on prayer teams, etc. And we are used to help pray with people, pray for people, pray over people. There's some things that we need to know about transferring of spirits. So the first thing that I want you guys to know is when you, be careful who you lay hands on. Be very careful. Be led by the Holy Spirit on who you should put your hands on and who you should not put your hands on. That is very important, and you should be cautious about that. Especially if you are casting out a demonic spirit. Be careful. Be very sensitive to the Spirit of God in that moment. Because when a demonic spirit is cast out, it immediately looks for another home, per se. And you have to be careful of who's around, where you are. Be careful of your surroundings. You have to really, really be led by the Spirit of God when you're casting out demonic spirits. I have my notes here, so if I'm going back and forth, looking, I don't want to miss anything, because it's very important when you are laying hands on people. Especially, let's talk about spiritual vulnerability. Okay, so when I say spiritual vulnerability, that I'm basically talking about if we are if we are not walking upright, if we are in error, if we are let's say not prayed up, we have to be very, very, very careful. Sometimes you may have to resort to speaking instead of laying your hands on people, and then sometimes you won't even know until people are called to the altar for prayer. If you're sensitive enough to the Spirit of God, He'll let you know who to touch, who not to touch. Like you'll feel in your spirit. Usually you'll have a piece about if you don't have a reservation, if you don't feel a tug or pull in your spirit when you begin to reach out to lay hands on somebody, or even when a person is walking up, sometimes the Spirit of God lets you know while they're coming up to the front if you're not to lay hands on somebody. It's very important, because you don't want spirits to come out and attach itself to you. I've heard of many stories where and the most recent story that I've heard is somebody that was casting out alcoholism, addiction of alcohol spirit from somebody, and not long after that person who actually laid hands on the person that was dealing with that spirit, that person begin to deal with that same addiction. That spirit had attached itself to the person that laid hands on the person that needed to be delivered. So be mindful, be careful, be led by the Spirit. If you know that if you are on a prayer team, if you are part of the prayer ministry, if you know that you are one that could possibly be called to the altar to pray for, to lay hands on someone, it would be wise to pray up and fast that day before that service, so that you can be extra sensitive to the Spirit of God, to the voice of God, because what you don't want is to lay your hands on someone that you're not supposed to touch. So be careful. Use wisdom. Be wise. You don't have to touch everybody. Speaking over them and talking to spirits is just as effective as you laying hands on somebody. Only lay hands on someone if you have a peace about it and if you're led to do it. You don't have to do it on every person. You have to lay hands on every person, and you don't owe anybody an explanation as to what you're doing, why you didn't lay hands on this person, why you chose to speak instead of. You don't owe an explanation, because when you are being led by the Spirit of God, that's all that is necessary. And the overseers, or whoever your pastors may be, or whoever is leading up everything, they should be sensitive enough in the Spirit to know as well that you are being led by the Spirit, and you shouldn't have to explain this, because this is kind of elementary, so whoever is over it should know. If you did not lay hands on a certain person, or somebody may be offended by it, you don't owe anybody an explanation, because the Holy Spirit stands for itself. It speaks for itself. So you don't have to explain anything. And don't worry about offending people. We can't let our emotions, and we can't let what we think, we can't let that cloud, our judgment on things. So that's just quick little nuggets on transferring of spirits. Again, be careful, be led, especially when you're casting out demonic spirits, any type of spirits. It immediately looks for a home. Immediately looks for a home. And the person who is being freed from that spirit, counsel that person and teach that person how to feel the area that spirit left. So like there's a void there. So teach them to constantly pray and let God fill that, that wherever that spirit was housed, let the Holy Spirit fill that. Because if it's empty, that's just empty space, nothing's dwelling there, they're not praying, they're not worshiping, they're not getting in their word, they're not, developing their relationship with God, that's just empty space, that spirit can come right back, and it'll come back stronger than it was before. So we don't just pray for people and let them go. We need to talk to them and let the Holy Spirit minister to them on how to keep a clean house, how to stay sanctified per se. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys on transferring of spirits. Hello.